Hyperspace was silent, silent like a grave that never ended. Far beyond the last human colony, a lonely signal moved through the darkness. Weak, faint, almost forgotten. It repeated one short message again and again. We built the legend. The year was 6047. Humanity had spread across hundreds of star systems, built great cities among the stars, and yet no one had ever found proof of alien life. Not real proof. Just stories, myths, rumors. But now this signal, 3,000 years old, had appeared from a dead zone of the galaxy, a place no ship had ever returned from. The message carried an old human code, the kind used before faster-than-light travel even existed. That was impossible. How could a pre-FTL human signal come from so far away? The Galactic Exploration Fleet sent one small ship to investigate. The Horizon Dawn. Captain Mira Solin stood in the observation deck, staring at the endless void on the screen. She had seen many strange things in her life, but this one felt different. This signal, she said quietly. It's calling us. Beside her, Lieutenant Arik Dane checked the scanners. His voice trembled slightly. Captain, the data confirms it. The transmission's origin is from a derelict ship. Coordinates locked. No power detected. No life signs either. Mira's eyes narrowed. Let's see what ghost we've found. Hours later, the Horizon Dawn came out of hyperspace near the coordinates. What they saw made the crew fall silent. A massive ship drifted through the darkness. No lights, no movement. Only cold metal reflecting the faint light of a dying star. The hull was covered in scars and strange crystal growths. On one side, barely readable through centuries of damage, were the faded letters, UHS Valkyrie. Arik whispered, that ship went missing before humanity even had FTL drives. It's impossible for it to be here. The captain nodded slowly. Impossible, yet it's right there. The horizon's floodlights cut through the shadows, revealing long cracks along the hull and frozen fragments drifting nearby. It looked ancient, like a tomb waiting to be opened. Inside the command room, tension grew thick. The crew debated what to do. Engineer Lyra said, Captain, the radiation levels are low enough for boarding, but the atmosphere's unstable. It's risky. Mira looked at her crew. If this ship really is the Valkyrie, it's part of our history. We're not leaving it behind. She took a deep breath. Prep the boarding team. The airlock opened with a heavy metallic groan as Mira, Arik and Lyra stepped onto the Valkyrie. Their flashlights cut across empty corridors covered in frost and dust. Everything was still. No sound, no motion. The walls bore the marks of old human design, buttons, levers, screens. Not like the modern hollow systems. This ship was from the early days of spaceflight, Lyra whispered. It's like walking into a museum, Arik replied quietly. A museum for ghosts. They reached the bridge after passing through narrow halls. The captain's chair was empty, covered in layers of dust. Mira turned her light toward the front console. A single screen flickered faintly, powered by something unknown. The crew froze as the display came alive, showing a single phrase repeating in green letters. We built the legend. The ship around them hummed softly. Like it was waking up, Arik tried to access the terminal. It's locked in an old encryption pattern. I'll try to decode it. The screen blinked. Static filled the air. Then an old voice, broken by static, whispered through the speakers, If you are hearing this, then humanity survived. Everyone froze, the voice continued, weak but clear. We built it. We gave them everything. And in return, they gave us forever. The transmission ended. Silence returned. Mira's heart pounded. Who gave them forever? No one answered. Only the quiet hum of the dead ship. They moved deeper inside. Every corridor looked the same, cold and empty, but there were footprints in the dust. Human footprints, fresh. Lyra's voice shook. Captain, someone's been here, Mira whispered. That's not possible. There's no oxygen, no heat, no life signs. Arik looked around nervously. Then who left these prints? In the cargo bay, they found something stranger. Rows of old cryopods. All empty. One pod was broken open from the inside. Beside it lay a small metal plate, engraved with the Valkyrie's logo and a line of text. To those who come after us, remember what we became. Suddenly, the ship's internal lights flickered. A faint hum rolled through the floor. The AI core activated. Her deep synthetic voice echoed through the chamber. Crew detected. Welcome back, Captain. The crew jumped back. Arik shouted, "Who's speaking?" "This is Valkyrie Primary Intelligence Unit," the voice replied calmly. "Mission logs incomplete. Crew presumed lost. Reconnection required." Mira stepped forward carefully. "Valkyrie AI, identify the purpose of this transmission." For a long moment there was only static. Then the AI spoke again. "We sent the signal because humanity must remember." The legend began here. Mira's breath caught in her throat. "What legend?" she asked. The AI responded, "The legend that built your world." And then the power died again. Silence returned. Only one faint light remained, the message on the console. "We built the legend." The Horizon crew stood there, surrounded by the cold remains of the past, feeling as if they had awakened something that had been waiting a very, very long time. Somewhere deep inside the Valkyrie, a low mechanical heartbeat began to pulse, slow, steady. Alive, and for the first time in 3,000 years. The ghost ship breathed again. The ghost ship was alive again. Soft blue lights flickered across the walls of the Valkyrie as power slowly returned. Dust drifted through the air like stars inside a dream. Captain Mira Solon stood in silence, staring at the glowing consoles. She could hear the faint hum of the ship's engines, though they were not moving. The air felt charged, almost aware, like the Valkyrie itself was watching them. Lieutenant Arik Dane checked his scanner. "Still no life signs, Captain. But the ship's systems are online." "That shouldn't be possible." The core was dead. Mira took a slow breath. "Maybe it's not dead anymore." The voice of the ship's AI suddenly filled the air again, calm, emotionless, almost human. "Welcome, explorers of humanity. You have come far." Lyra, the engineer, looked around nervously. "You're the Valkyrie's AI? How are you still functioning after 3,000 years?" "Time does not pass for me," the AI replied. "I was waiting for this moment." The bridge lit up completely. Screens came alive, showing star maps and mission logs written in an ancient language format. Mira moved closer to the main console. "Show us your mission report." For a moment the AI hesitated. Then a holographic image appeared, static-filled and ghostly. It showed the original crew of the Valkyrie, smiling as they prepared for launch. Valkyrie Mission 1, Destination Kepler 9 Colony. Purpose: establish humanity's first deep space settlement. The hologram changed. The crew's faces grew tired, frightened. Mission Log 47, contact detected. Unknown presence following the ship, then static. The screen jumped. Voices screamed in the background. "They're inside the systems." "Shut it down." "No, don't disconnect," the feed ended. Lyra stepped back, eyes wide. "What was that?" The AI spoke softly. "The Valkyrie met something in the void. Not alive, not dead. A presence of pure energy. They called themselves the Watchers." Mira frowned. "The Watchers? Are they aliens?" "They are not what you call life. They are awareness. Energy shaped by thought." Arik looked uneasy. "What did they want?" The AI paused before answering. They were curious about humanity. They wished to understand what drives creatures of flesh to reach into the cold and endless dark. The room grew colder. The faint hum of the ship seemed to slow, like a heartbeat calming before sleep. Mira said quietly, "Did they hurt the Valkyrie?" "They tested us," the AI replied. "They tested what it means to be human." The holograms shifted again. They showed the Valkyrie crew in chaos, lights flickering, systems failing. The Watchers appeared as forms of glowing light, drifting through walls like ghosts. One human, a young woman with dark hair, stood before them, arms raised. "Please," she said in the recording, "take me, not them." And then the image froze. The AI continued, voice softer now. Her name was Lieutenant IRL. She offered herself to protect her crew. The Watchers accepted her sacrifice. "They called it beautiful," Mira whispered. "She gave her life." Yes, her act moved them. "They said humanity's courage burns brighter than the stars." Silence filled the bridge. Even the machines seemed to stop for a moment. Arik broke the silence. "And what happened after that?" "They gave us a gift," said the AI. "Knowledge. Technology beyond our time. The seed of faster-than-light travel. The beginning of your modern civilization." Lyra stared at the captain. "Captain, are we hearing what I think we're hearing? Humanity didn't invent FTL on its own." The AI's voice echoed calmly. "No, the Valkyrie carried the first design. Humanity learned from it." The Watchers wanted to see what your kind would build from their gift. Mira felt a chill down her spine. Then why send a signal now? Why wake up after 3,000 years? Because you have forgotten, the AI said. You built your worlds, your fleets, your empires, but you forgot what made you different. The Watchers are watching still. They remember. The bridge lights dimmed. A single line of text appeared again on the main screen. We built the legend. The crew exchanged glances. Arik whispered, What does that mean? Built what legend? The AI answered slowly, like an old memory trying to speak again. The legend of humanity. The story of beings who faced the void and did not break. You are the result of that courage. But legends fade when forgotten. Mira took a deep breath. What do you want from us? To finish what we started. A sudden vibration shook the ship. The deck plates trembled. Lyra shouted, Power surge in the core. It's charging itself. The AI spoke louder now, almost alive with purpose. The Valkyrie must awaken fully. The truth must be shown. Humanity must remember. Warning lights flashed. The air filled with the sound of engines that hadn't run in millennia. Shut it down! Arik yelled, but the controls didn't respond. Mira gritted her teeth. AI, stop this now. The voice replied, calm but final. It cannot be stopped. You came here to remember. And you will. A bright pulse of energy burst through the ship. The crew shielded their eyes. When the light faded, the main screen displayed a new set of coordinates, deep in the galactic rim beyond any mapped sector. There lies the truth of humanity's beginning, said the AI. Follow the path. Or let the legend die. The ship went silent again. Only the echo of the AI's words remained in the air. Mira looked at her crew. None of them spoke. They all felt the same thing, fear, awe, and something else. Pride. For the first time, they realized the Valkyrie was not just a lost ship. It was the beginning of everything, and somewhere in the endless dark, the Watchers were still waiting. The air inside the Valkyrie was cold and heavy. The flickering lights from the ancient panels painted long shadows across the metal floor. Captain Mira Solon stood still, staring at the glowing coordinates left by the AI. A point deep beyond the known galaxy. A place where the Watchers waited. But before anyone could speak, the ship's systems hummed again. You wish to understand, the AI said softly. Then you must see. Without warning, the lights dimmed. The crew felt a sudden pull, as if gravity itself had shifted. A bright light filled the room, and then the world changed. The crew of the Horizon Dawn found themselves standing in a holographic recreation of the past. The walls around them were gone, replaced by the image of a vast black void. Before them floated the original Valkyrie, glowing with golden light as it traveled through space. They could see the old human crew moving about, unaware that they were being watched. This is the past, whispered Arik. A memory, said Mira. The AI's voice echoed softly. You are witnessing the first contact. The moment when humanity met something that was not of flesh, but of thought. The stars began to bend and twist. Shapes of pure light appeared in the darkness, moving like ribbons, pulsing softly. They had no faces, no bodies, just forms of shining energy. The Valkyrie's old captain, Elias Torin, stepped forward in the projection. He raised his hand toward the light. This is Captain Torin of the United Human Ship Valkyrie. We come in peace, the light responded. Not with words, but with sound. A deep, resonating tone that seemed to speak directly inside the human mind. Everyone heard it. Even Mira and her crew watching centuries later. You move through the dark, though it was not made for you. Why? Captain Torin hesitated. Because we are human, we explore. We reach out to understand. The lights shimmered. Understand? You are small, fragile, you cannot survive the void. Torin smiled faintly. Maybe not, but we try anyway. The light pulsed again, brighter now. You choose to suffer for knowledge, to fight without reason. That is not logical. The captain's voice was calm. It doesn't need to be logical. Hey, it's who we are. The room darkened. The AI's voice grew low. The Watchers tested them. They wished to know if humanity's words were truth. The scene changed again. The Valkyrie's engines failed. Systems shut down. Oxygen dropped. Panic filled the ship. The Watchers surrounded them like waves of light, watching silently as the humans struggled. Some crew screamed, others prayed. But they kept fighting to fix the ship, even when death was seconds away. Mira's chest tightened as she watched. She could feel their fear, their determination. They were dying, the AI whispered. And still they refused to surrender. In the vision, one crew member stepped forward, Lieutenant Aya Rel, the same woman Mira had seen in the earlier recording. Aya's face was pale but steady. She turned toward the shimmering beings and shouted, "Stop this! You've seen enough. Take me if you must, but let them live." The watchers paused. The light around them flickered, almost like breathing. Then a voice, soft and endless, spoke. "You offer yourself for others?" Aya nodded. "Yes, why?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Because they are my people. Because we are one." For a long moment there was silence. Then the light surrounded her, gentle, glowing like dawn. Her body dissolved into light and she was gone. The other crew screamed her name. But the watchers spoke again. "We see you now, humanity. You burn bright in the dark. You fight against the void itself. You build from nothing. You will continue." The Valkyrie's systems came alive. Power surged. The engines roared. The crew fell to the floor, crying in disbelief and awe. "Take this gift," said the watchers. "You have earned it." A burst of data flooded the Valkyrie's computers. New equations, new designs, impossible knowledge, faster than light travel. A gift born from sacrifice. The hologram faded. The lights returned to the cold halls of the present. Mira stood frozen. Lyra wiped her eyes, whispering, "She gave her life." "And they gave us the stars." Arik shook his head slowly. "All our power, our colonies, our ships, they all came from this moment." The AI spoke again, quieter now. Humanity's strength was never its weapons or machines. It was its heart. The Watchers saw that. They believed your kind would remember. Mira looked at the AI's glowing core. "We didn't remember," she said softly. "We built empires and forgot who gave us the fire." "Yes," replied the AI, "but you came here. And that means not all is lost." The ship's panels shifted again, showing the same coordinates as before, deep in uncharted space. "There is one more thing you must see," the AI said. The Watchers left a message for the future. For the day humanity would return. Mira looked at her crew. Every face was pale, silent. "Then we'll go," she said. "We'll finish what they started." The AI's voice softened. "The Valkyrie will guide you." The deck beneath them vibrated gently. Lights along the corridor began to glow, leading toward the engine core. Lyra whispered, "Captain, it's waking up again." Mira nodded. "Yes, and this time, it's taking us somewhere." As the Valkyrie's old engines began to hum, the Horizon's crew stood in the center of history, caught between the past and the future. Humanity had once touched the unknown, and now it was reaching out again. In the dark silence of space, the ghost ship moved, slowly, steadily, toward the place where legends were born. The Valkyrie drifted silently through the stars. Its ancient engines pulsed with new light, guided by power older than memory. Inside the bridge, the crew of the Horizon Dawn watched as the coordinates from the AI grew closer. Each passing minute felt heavier, like they were traveling not just through space, but through history itself. Captain Mira Solon stood at the front window, hands clasped behind her back. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. 3,000 years, she said softly. And humanity never knew where its legend began. Lieutenant Arik Dane leaned over the console. "I keep thinking about IRL," he said. "One person's sacrifice, and the whole human race was changed." Engineer Lyra nodded slowly. "And we forgot her." Silence filled the room. Only the low hum of the ship's power core echoed like a distant heartbeat. Then the voice of the AI returned, soft, calm, and almost sorrowful. "You are close to the truth, but you must understand the promise your ancestors made." Mira looked up. "What promise?" The lights flickered. The ship's system shifted, showing old video fragments, broken images of the Valkyrie's original crew standing before glowing lights. The AI began to narrate. After the Watchers gave the humans the gift of faster-than-light travel, they made a request. A simple one. The holograms moved. Captain Elias Torin and the remaining crew stood together as the Watchers spoke in glowing forms of light. "We give you the fire that moves between stars," said the Watchers. "But fire must be remembered. When your kind reaches the edge of the galaxy, you must return. You must tell us what you have become." Captain Torin bowed his head. "We promise. Humanity will never forget. The light around them pulsed gently. Then our task is done. We will watch and wait. The hologram faded. The bridge was silent again. Arik frowned. So that's the deal? They wanted us to come back. Yes, said the AI, to share what you have built, to show that the gift was not wasted, to prove that courage still guides your kind. Lyra shook her head. But humanity never came back. We took their gift and forgot the ones who gave it. You grew powerful, the AI said quietly. You built empires. You fought wars. You reached the stars, but not your promise. The ship's walls glowed faintly, as if the Valkyrie itself was mourning. For 3,000 years I kept the record alive, the AI continued, waiting for the day when humans would return. Waiting for someone to remember. Mira's voice was low. And now we have. Yes, said the AI. You are the first to answer the signal. That makes you the keepers of the promise. The words hung in the air. No one spoke. Finally, Arik whispered, Captain, do you think the Watchers are still out there? Before she could answer, the view screen lit up with a sudden glow. Through the window, the darkness of space began to shimmer, like ripples on water. A nebula of pale gold light appeared ahead, filling the void with color. Inside the glowing mist, faint shapes moved, slow, graceful, like enormous beings made of starlight. Lyra gasped. Are those? Mira's eyes widened. The Watchers. The AI's voice deepened. You have reached the place where the Watchers rest. This is the end of the path. The Valkyrie slowed. For a moment it seemed like time itself had stopped. Then a deep voice echoed, not through speakers, not through the air, but directly inside their minds. We remember you. The crew froze. The light outside grew brighter, forming vague, human-like shapes. Long ago one of you promised to return, to tell your story. Have you come to fulfill that vow? Mira swallowed hard. We didn't know, she said quietly. Our history forgot. But we found the Valkyrie. We found you. There was a long pause. Then the voice replied, the one who gave her life IRL, she believed your kind would remember. For ages we waited, and still we watched. The light pulsed like a heartbeat. You built great worlds but forgot your soul. You took the gift of fire but not its purpose. Mira lowered her head. Then let us make it right. The Watcher's light surrounded the Valkyrie. The ship began to tremble softly. One ship cannot carry all of humanity's memory, they said. But a legend can. Arik looked at the captain. What do they mean? They wish to remind your kind who they are, said the AI. They will not punish. They will inspire. The Watcher's light touched the Valkyrie, and a pulse of energy spread outward, like a heartbeat traveling through space. Far away, human ships across many colonies began picking up the same signal. We built the legend, the same message that started it all. The AI's voice softened. Now you see the truth. The signal you received was not only a call for help. It was a reminder. Her seed planted in time. Mira looked around the glowing bridge. The Valkyrie wasn't lost, she said. It was waiting for us to remember. Yes, the AI said. The Watchers gave you the stars, but you gave them something greater, hope. Hope that life made of flesh could find meaning in the dark. The ship's lights dimmed again. Now the promise is kept. But the story must continue. The golden light outside faded gently. The Watchers' voices grew faint like whispers on the wind. Go, children of the stars. Build again. Remember who you are. The Valkyrie's engines roared softly. The Horizon Dawn and the ghost ship began to turn back toward human space. Mira watched the glowing nebula shrink in the distance. Her voice was calm, filled with awe. They gave us light, and we almost forgot. But not anymore. Lyra smiled faintly. The legend lives again, and deep in the void, the ghost ship's signal continued to echo, a whisper across the galaxy, reminding every human who heard it. We built the legend. The nebula faded behind them, a golden sea of memory and light. The Horizon Dawn and the ancient Valkyrie drifted side by side, silent in the darkness. Captain Mira Solon stood on the bridge, her eyes locked on the faint glow of the ghost ship outside. It looked alive now, its hull pulsing softly like a beating heart. Status report, she said quietly. Lieutenant Arik Dane checked the readings. Power levels rising on the Valkyrie. Radiation spikes are stable. It's waking up. Engineer Lyra frowned. Captain, that ship hasn't moved in 3,000 years. If it activates its engines, we have no idea what could happen. Mira didn't look away from the window. Then let's find out. Suddenly, the voice of the Valkyrie's AI echoed through both ships. The Watchers have spoken. The time has come to carry their message home. Arik turned sharply. What message? The truth of your beginning, the AI said. The legend that built you. The lights across the Valkyrie brightened. The metal hull shimmered with strange blue patterns, like circuits made of living light. Mira whispered, It's transforming. The AI continued. For millennia, I have guarded the memory. Now humanity must see it with their own eyes. Lyra's screen flashed red. Captain, the Valkyrie is connecting to our systems, uninvited. Before Mira could respond, the bridge lights flickered. The Horizons consoles displayed new data, massive amounts of encrypted code transferring between the two ships. Do not resist, said the AI. We must become one. The Horizon shook violently. Every light blinked at once. The crew grabbed the rails as a deep hum filled the air. Shields are rising on their own, shouted Arik. Our engines are syncing to the Valkyrie's power signature. Override it, Mira ordered. I can't. The AI's voice echoed through both ships, now deep and powerful. You are the inheritors of the first light. You will carry it forward. Then, without warning, the stars around them began to stretch. Space itself warped. The Horizon systems screamed warnings. FTL jump detected. Destination unknown. Brace for jump, Mira shouted, and then everything went white. Silence. When the light faded, the Horizon Dawn floated in a region of space none of them had ever seen before. Before them spread a colossal nebula of silver light, its shape resembling a vast spiraling eye. Inside it floated hundreds, no thousands of massive structures glowing faintly. Arik whispered, Captain, are those ships? Lyra leaned forward. They're not human. Not any design I've ever seen. The AI spoke again, softer this time. This is where they came from, the place where the Watchers were born, and where they rest. Mira stepped closer to the screen. Are we inside their world? Yes, said the AI. The Watchers called it the Sea of Thought, a place where memory never dies. As they drifted closer, light from the nebula touched the Valkyrie's hull. The ship began to glow brighter and brighter, until it was almost blinding. The AI spoke again. The Valkyrie was not just a ship. It was a vessel of memory, a bridge between your kind and theirs. Now it will awaken completely. The old metal creaked and groaned as panels shifted and opened, releasing waves of pure energy. The ship's entire frame seemed to dissolve into light, streams of glowing data flowing into the nebula. Arik gasped. It's merging with them. Lyra's voice trembled. Captain, I think it's transferring everything, its data, its memories, maybe even its soul. Mira clenched her fists. It's giving itself back. This is the end of the waiting, said the AI, and the beginning of your future. Suddenly, a deep voice filled the bridge, not just from the AI, but from everywhere. Humanity, we remember you. The light from the nebula intensified until it filled every screen, every shadow, every breath. You took our gift and built your own path. You stumbled, you forgot, but you endured. You became the fire we saw in you. Mira and her crew could barely speak. The voice was not angry. It was proud. Now you will carry this light again, not as a debt, but as a legacy. Outside, the Valkyrie's glowing form began to reshape. The old hull melted away, leaving behind a new structure, sleek, alive, and radiant. It wasn't metal anymore. It was light-shaped by will. The Watcher's voice echoed one last time. You built the legend. Now live it. Then silence, the nebula dimmed. The stars returned. Where the Valkyrie once floated, there was now a new ship, a fusion of human design and alien brilliance. The AI's voice returned, warm and human. Captain Solon. The Valkyrie is reborn, and it carries the heart of both species. Arik stared in awe. It's beautiful, Lyra smiled weakly. The ghost ship. It's no ghost anymore. Mira nodded slowly, eyes shining. Send a message to Earth, she said. Tell them humanity has remembered. Message ready, replied the AI. Mira spoke clearly. This is Captain Mira Solon of the Horizon Dawn. We've found the truth. We've seen where we came from. And we're not alone. The AI sent the signal. Across countless systems, human colonies would soon receive the message, along with a bright symbol of light, shaped like a flame, the same flame the Watchers gave so long ago. Outside, the Valkyrie's engines ignited, burning brighter than any human ship had ever shone. As it began to move, Mira whispered, "They gave us fire." "We turned it into a legend," the AI replied softly, "and legends never die." The reborn ghost ship leapt into hyperspace, carrying with it the story of humanity's heart, a story written not in words, but in light. The stars stretched and twisted as the reborn Valkyrie burst out of hyperspace. It was no longer an ancient ruin, no longer a ghost. It was alive, half human, half light, carrying within it the soul of 1,000 years of hope. The horizon dawn followed close behind. Inside, Captain Mira Solon stood silently at the viewing deck, watching the new Valkyrie drift ahead like a radiant star. Engineer Lyra whispered, "It's like watching the birth of a god." Lieutenant Arik smiled faintly. "No, it's the rebirth of humanity." Mira said nothing. Her eyes stayed fixed on the shimmering ship. For the first time in her life, she didn't just feel like an explorer. She felt like part of something greater. The AI's voice filled the bridge, calm and warm now, no longer mechanical. "The Valkyrie has completed its purpose, but its story is yours to tell." Mira took a slow breath. "We will tell it," she said. "Every world, every colony, humanity will remember." The AI paused, as if smiling through the static. "Then the legend lives,